order of the day. Let me just take announcements first before you go into announcements. Notice of meeting. There will be a meeting of the APC caucus immediately after plenary today, 24th July 2018, venue hearing room 1, Senate Owen, signed Senate Leader. Letter from Senator Ali Ndume. I wish to inform my colleagues that I'll be giving out my daughter, Awa, in marriage on the 3rd of August 2018 at Al-Noor Mosque, Wuse, Abuja, after Jumat prayers. Please put her in your prayers. Signed, Senator Ali Ndume. Leader of the Senate. Senator, we've discussed your matter. When we get to the votes and proceedings, we'll take up the issue. Okay. When we get to the votes and proceedings, why don't you wait and see the votes and proceedings? Yes. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion standing in my name on the rescission of clauses 3, 5, 8, 11, 13, 14, 15, 18, 21, 23, 24, 28, 32, and 38 of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2018 in accordance with the Rule 53, subsection B of the Senate Standing Orders. Mr. President, with your permission, I wish to move the motion
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the Senate knows that the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2018 was passed by both houses, and the report of the conference committee that harmonized the areas of difference in the bill was adopted on Thursday, the 7th of June 2018. The Senate is aware that the amendment was intended to strengthen the electoral process in Nigeria, more particularly the 2019 general election. The Senate also knows that in the course of cleaning the bill as passed, some provisions were found to negate the essence of the amendment. Accordingly, the Senate resolves to rescind its decision on clauses 3, 5, 8, 11, 13, 14, 15, and 18, 21, 23, 24, 28, 32, and 38 of the bill as passed, and recommit same to the Committee of the Whole for consideration and passage. I so move.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion ably moved by my colleague. On all the clauses, I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate resolves to go into the Committee of the Whole to consider the bill clause by clause.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the Senate resolve into the Committee of the Whole to consider the report clause by clause. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, there are 14 clauses here. These amendments has come about following the cleaning up both by the House and also by the executive as well informally. We have looked at it and all come to agree on this common position. So I'll move to clause 2. Those in favor of clause 2. Page 1. Go to page 1. Clause 2, the bottom part of clause. Yes? Clause 2. Yes.
James Manager Delta South. Mr. Chairman, because we have gone through this before, and this is a reconsideration of a bill that we had passed, to carry everybody along in an onboard view, because this thing is just given to us. We were not prepared for this. So I want to humbly advise that let somebody, maybe the senior leader, tell us what because we have paragraph 2, before you know it, we will have exhausted it, and nobody will saw of what we would have done today. So it's important for us to know what we are doing. So let the senior leader at least, or the chairman of the committee, let the chairman of the committee at least take us through what we are trying to do today.
Yeah, but I think it will help in going along if the chairman of INEC just takes us through.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, Mr. Chairman, let me just make it easier for everybody to understand. When we were holding the conference committee, INEC suggested and came up with further amendment to make it easier for them to effect their work. And we deliberated upon that and accepted that it was a line that we need to amend, to further make amendments so that we can make their work more effective. And that was what we agreed upon. And we have gone through everything and we found out that it is not injurious in any way. These amendments are just talking about dates. The only one that is a little bit controversial is about the primaries, which we suggested 90, not earlier than 90 days and not later than 60 days. While INEC suggested not earlier than 120 days and not later than 60 days. That is the only, 90 days, sorry. That is the only one that is controversial. Apart from that, there is nothing, it's just about dates. Dates. So it is not injurious in any way to us or to the public. It is not controversial. It will add value to INEC and affect their work. That is just it. So there is nothing. We've gone through it. Everybody has gone, a majority of those of us in the committee have gone through it. And we found out it is good to go. And it has harmonized. It has already been harmonized. So there is no problem about this at all. And if you want us to go through it, we can still go again.
What INEC also did was informally also advise or send their input to the executive to explain these are the issues. And then during a lot of the consultation, it was now agreed that if these, since we agreed that they're not injurious to us, it will also be acceptable to the executive and we can move forward. The only one that is different, as he said, is where INEC is saying, INEC is saying 150 days, 120 to 90, and 90-60. Okay, that's the only one that, apart from that, for example, what INEC is saying, that there are things we've said they can do with 14 days. INEC will say, for them to be efficient, they need 7 days. There's somewhere we said 90 days, INEC will say, look, practically, they need 30 days. Those are the issues that are really become before us. Yes. Yeah. Just let him finish so that you can. Just a second. Let him just. Take your seat. Let him finish. If he has any other, I'll call you after. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let me further notify the Senate that based on 120, 90 days, what we have here, if approved, that means the primaries will hold not by October, November. While we suggested initially, that means will be concluded by October, November. While we initially wanted it to be November, December. So that is just the difference. October, November now to conclude primaries. Initially it was November, December. Latest. So INEC request is germane, and I think it's good for everybody. It is harmonized, and this is what the executive is also want.
Yeah, you're on.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, for me, I think, whilst I agree with what my colleague Senator Nazib has said, the only thing is that when we are talking about rescission, that means cancellation. The word rescission. Rescission. Yes. No, I was talking about the word rescission. Yeah. And so it means that we have yes, we drop and take. And so, as the chairman, he could have informed us of what we are dropping and what we are taking. So, and he has only mentioned just one item.
All right, so I'll go back to clause 2. And I'll put the question. Those in favor of clause 2 as amended to stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 3. Clause 3, you can see there again, those in favor that clause 3 as amended stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 4. Again, you see the difference between 21 days and 28 days. Those in favor of clause 4 as amended stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 5, if you see in clause 5, one is saying 14 days, the other is saying 7 days. Those in favor of clause 5 as amended stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 6. Yeah, those in favor of that clause 6 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 7. Those in favor of clause 7 as amended, you see 20 to 28 days. Those in favor as amended stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 8. Those in favor of clause 8 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 9. Yes.
An observation, even though we've gone beyond that clause, it's just, I think it's topographical on page 4. I think that's clause 5. 3, page 4. If you read, it says from 3, it says polling agents who are in attendance at a polling unit are entitled before the commencement of the election to inspect electoral materials, including ballot papers, result sheets, ballot papers, account and verification documents, and other electoral forms to be used by the, and then the next thing it says, and this process may be recorded. That is vague, it's not clear.
By the commission.
So we should add that.
By the electoral commission.
consider and note that polling papers are repeated twice, and then after to be used by the commission, yeah? By the official of the commission. The official of the commission. Thank you for that observation. We go back to clause, we go to clause 9. Those in favor of clause 9 as amended, stands part of bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 10. Clause 10. Those in favor of clause 10 as amended, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 11. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The word in amendment of section 67 is repeated up to twice here. 10, page 7. Okay.
Clause 11. Those in favor of clause 11 as amended, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 12. Those in favor of clause 12 as amended, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Clause 13. Those in favor of clause 13, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. And clause 14. Those in favor of clause 14, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse the plenary for the third report progress.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that we revert to plenary to report progress. I do second.
Those in favor of the motion, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, considered the bill for an act to amend the provisions of the Electoral Act number 6/2010 to further improve the electoral process and for related matters as approved as follows. Clause 2 to 14 as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the bill be now read the third time.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the bill be read for the third time. I so second.
Those in favor that the bill not be read the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to amend the provisions of the Electoral Act number 6, 2010 to further improve the electoral process and for related matters 2018, third reading.
A bill for an act to amend the provisions of Electoral Act number 6, 2010 to further improve the electoral process and for related matters 2018, third reading. It's passed the third time. It's read the third time and passed. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is a motion standing in the name of Senator Barnabas Gamade on the demise of Honorable Justice Aloysius Yoge Kasina Alu, CON. Mr. President, you recall that today, Tuesday, the 24th of July, 2018, the Senate-wide Standing Order 42, Sub 2 of our Standing Order approved that this motion be moved today. Accordingly, Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Barnabas Gamade to move the motion.
Senator Gamade.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Barnabas Gamade. I represent Benue Northeast Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to move this motion of tribute for the demise of Honorable Justice Aloysius Yogel Katsina Alu, GCON, if you may correct that. I'd like to inform the distinguished Senate that my colleagues, the distinguished former President of the Senate, Senator David Mark, and the distinguished Senate Minority Leader, former Senate Minority Leader, Senator George Akume, join me as sponsors of this motion for the honor of Honorable Justice Aloysius Yogel Katsina Alu. The Senate knows with heavy heart the death of Honorable Justice Aloysius Yogel Katsina Alu, former Chief Justice of Nigeria, on the 18th of July, 2018, at the age of 76. Note also that Honorable Justice Aloysius Yogel Katsina Alu was born on 28 August 1941 at Ukan in Ushongu local government area of Benue State. Senate recalls that the late Katsina Alu attended Mount St. Michael Secondary School, Aliede, up to 1961, and thereafter proceeded to the Nigerian Military Training College, Kaduna, and later to Mons Military Training College, Addishot, England, where he trained from 1962 to 1963. Senate notes also that Justice Katsina Alu's military career was short-lived, and on his return from military training, enrolled at the Faculty of Law at Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Senate also notes further that Justice Katsina Alu in 1964 proceeded to the Inns of Court, School of Law, Gibson and Warden College of Law, School of Oriental and African Studies, University of London, and was called to the English bar in 1967. He subsequently attended the Nigerian Law School and was called to the Nigerian bar in June 1968. Through dint of hard work and dedication to duty, Justice Katsina Alu was appointed Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Benue State in 1978. Senate observes also that Justice Alu served the judiciary of this nation in all the superior courts of record as follows. Appointed a Chief Judge of the High Court of Benue State in 1979. Elevated to Court of Appeal as a Justice in 1985. Became a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria in 1998 and appointed 10th Indigenous Chief Justice of Nigeria on 30th December 2009. Senate is convinced that the late Justice Katsina Alu, having spent 32 years of his career on the bench and 13 of such years at the Apex Court, the Supreme Court of Nigeria, where he left his footprints as a judicial icon and a jurist of international repute. Senate recalls that in his 13-year stint as a Justice of the Apex Court and later Chief Justice of Nigeria, he sat on a total of 406 cases, out of which number he delivered 56 leading judgments, 346 concurring, and 4 dissenting eloquent judgments. Senate observes that Justice Katsina Alu, during his life, lived a life of selfless service to his fatherland, an accomplished jurist, a judicial icon who adhered to the rule of law and tenets of social justice, equity, peace, and fairness. Indeed, served the nation meritoriously. He was a man who dearly loved and cared for his family. His contribution to nation building has been acknowledged and celebrated beyond the legal cycles. He was conferred with the national honor of Commander of the Order of the Niger, CON, in 2004, and the prestigious honor of the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, GCON, in 2010. No doubt, his destiny, which was certainly not in the military, had indeed been fulfilled in the legal profession. Senate is aware that his demise is a great loss to the people of Benue Northeast Senatorial District in particular, Benue State, and Nigeria in general. Senate therefore accordingly resolves to 1. Observe a minute silence in honor of the late Honorable Justice Aloysius Yoger Katsina Alu, JSC, as he then was, GCON. 2. Send a delegation of this hallowed chamber to condole with his family and people and government of Benue State. And 3. Urge the federal government to immortalize the late Justice Aloysius Yoger Katsina Alu by naming a national monument in his honor. Mr. President, I so move. Thank you.
Senator Akume.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator George Akume, Benue Northwest. Mr. President, I knew Justice Katsina Alu in 1978 when he was appointed the Attorney General of Benue State. Came in from Lagos, assumed duty, and quickly started improving the lot of lawyers in the Ministry of Justice. But I became very close to Justice Alu when I became governor in 1999, while he was serving with the Court of Appeal in Port Harcourt. I got to know that he wanted to be a military officer and trained along with President Buhari before he decided in his wisdom to withdraw from the military and serve his country better in the temple of justice. Justice Alu was one jurist who strongly defended the independence of the judiciary. I recall that at a time when the situation in Rivers was getting tough with respect to who was really the right candidate of the PDP at the governorship election, the judiciary wrote to then President Olusegun Obasanjo not to go ahead, to prevail on INEC not to go ahead with the election, pending the determination of the case which was brought before the Supreme Court by Amechi. Government went ahead and prevailed on INEC to conduct that election in blatant violation of the order of the Supreme Court. Then came this landmark judgment. The governor who had been sworn in was removed by the Supreme Court, and that case was presided over by Justice Katsina Alu. Alu was not just a jurist. He was a very deeply religious man who founded his own ministry and appointed pastors to try to bring souls closer to God. In service, he was doing that, and after service, Justice Alu continued
to promote the work of God at various fora. This fine and extraordinary man has gone home, and I believe is already with the Creator. It is with a heavy heart that I speak here today, because I believe we have lost an extraordinary man, a patriot, a man who believed that justice would always be promoted in the interest of all, no matter their religion, no matter their status in life, and no matter their tribe. As we say goodbye to Justice Salu here on earth, I believe the angels have welcomed him home. Adieu, Justice Salu.
Let's go straight to prayers. Prayer 1, observe 1 minute silence in honor of the late Honorable Justice Aloysius Yegaya Katsina Alu, as he was then was GCON. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Send a delegation of this Alu chamber to condole with his family, the people, and government of Benue State. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, urge the federal government to immortalize the late Justice Katsina Alu by naming a national monument in his favor. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Can we now stand and observe the 1 minute silence? So rest in perfect peace. Amen. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the consideration of the ad hoc committee report on the promissory note program and a bond issuance to settle inherited local debts and contractual obligations. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Francis Almakena to move the motion for the Senate to consider the report of the committee.
Senator Francis Almakena.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Francis Alimikena, representing the good people of Edo North. Mr. President, I rise to move that the Senate do receive and consider the ad hoc committee on promissory note program and the bond issuer to settle inherited local debts and contractual obligations on refer to state government for projects executed on behalf of the federal government. I so move.
Senator James Manager.
Mr. President, my respected colleagues, James Manager, Delta South. I second the motion that's moved.
Those in favor that the Senate do consider the report of the other committee on promissory note program and the bond issuance to settle inherited local debts and contract obligations on refund to state governments for projects executed on behalf of the federal government. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator McKenna, can you present your report?
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate at its sitting on Wednesday, 9th May 2018, consider the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the establishment of a promissory note program and a bond issuer to settle local debts and contractual obligations after which an ad hoc committee was constituted for further legislative action. The members of the committees are in page 1. Then the background, page 2. The promising note programs and bond issuance is made to clear unpaid debts with the federal government inherited to the various sectors of the economy. The outstanding claims and liabilities which form complement of the unpaid debts are both recurrent and capital expenditure, which are in 1 to 12 on page 2. Your Excellency, distinguished senators, you may recall that the Senate at its sitting on Thursday, 7th June 2018, considered and approved an interim report of the ad hoc committee recommending the reform to state for projects executed on behalf of the federal government. The reform to state government is the first phase of the committee's recommendation. However, some states were not included in the first report as a result of incomplete documents and failure to appear before the ad hoc committee. The affected states were later invited by the ad hoc committee to present the justification of projects executed in their states on behalf of the federal government. This is in line with the Senate determination in ensuring that justice and fair hearing is extended to all. It is pertinent to mention that all the outstanding claims and liabilities were divided into phases. The committee considered each to ensure that a proper and thorough scrutiny is carried out on all the outstanding liabilities and claims submitted. Meeting with the stakeholders is on page 9. The ad hoc committee met with the representatives of the state government who were invited for the second meeting on Thursday, 5th July 2018, namely Ogun, Plateau, Zamfara, Ondo, Gobe, Adamawa, Kwara, Ekiti, and Oyo states respectively. Their submissions are as follows. Approval by the federal government through the Ministry of Works for the execution of highway projects in their states, contract agreement between the state government and the contractor that handle the projects, evidence of payment by the state government to the contractors, pictorial evidence of the project executed, and evidence of part payment made by the federal government to the states. Findings. After exhaustive deliberations and analysis of the submissions and presentation by the state government, the ad hoc committee findings are as follows. Some state governments have more outstanding debts than what was submitted by the executive. B, most of the federal highways were at the state of collapsing before the state intervention. C, states like Kwara, Adamawa, and Lagos embarked on the highway project execution as far back as 2004, while others followed thereafter. D, some states that appeared before the committee were faced with the challenge of having an incomplete document to justify the outstanding claims. Recommendation: that the state do approve the promissory note program and bond issuer to settle outstanding claims and liability of state government in the sum of 488,743,526,204.77 based on state-by-state claim as follows. The states are listed: Adamawa, Kwara, Plateau, the figures are there written against them, Jigawa, Gobe, Ondo, Ekiti, Edo, Lagos, Zamfara, Osun, Ebonyi, Kano, Enugu, Niger, Benue, Imo, Anambra, Akwa Ibom, Ogun, and Oyo respectively. For accurate documentation, this recommendation now received the earlier Senate resolution on the ad hoc committee interim report of Thursday, 7 June 2018. Conclusion. The ad hoc committee sincerely expresses appreciation to the Senate leadership and the entire Senate for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator James Panja.
I know. I seconded it for him to read, to present. Yes. Mr. President, my respected colleagues, Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this presentation, but there are some matters arising from what you have just presented, Mr. President. If you look at the report, out of 36 states, and of course the Federal Capital Territory, you have just 21 of these states. So many states are conspicuously omitted, and this you are talking about reforms for projects executed on behalf of the federal government. These other states, including my own state, Delta, is not included. And I do know, as a former commissioner for works, that there are so many outstandings by the Delta State government, executed by Delta State government on behalf of the federal government, particularly highways owned by, trunk A routes owned by the federal government. I don't know why these states are omitted. Mr. Chairman maybe has something to tell us to convince us. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity.
Deputy Whip.
Thank you for your information. The total number of states that were forwarded to the committee from the executive were 25, not 36. And out of that 25, we called for the state. It's only 4 of these states that did not appear before the committee. Even 2 states that appeared in the committee, their papers were not correct. For instance, the data where you come from did not appear before the committee. We first meeting, we sent a letter to them, they did come. Second, the one we invited them, they did not appear before the committee. So because of it, that we did put them. States like Kogi and Bauchi, their people were not correct before we submitted this committee report. So that's what happened. We could not just put them if they did appear before the committee.
Yes, Senator Bocha.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the case of Taraba is a little bit different because I discussed with the committee chair and he noted it and said he was going to write them because they never made appearance in the first outing. And I'm surprised that they are not included here. Whether he wrote them again, because that was the understanding we had with him, that he was going to write them formally, because you don't go to a meeting where you are not invited. So
Chief Deputy Whip.
Taraba was invited 2 times. First one, we sent them the invitation. The second, we sent the invitation to them. And I remember that one of your came to me and I even gave him the order that they can appear before us Monday. They didn't show up before this report.
Senator Lidani.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to support that this Senate do approve this committee report, but subject to making it an interim report, especially for those whose states either did not appear before the committee or whose cases were not yet forwarded to the committee. Since these ones have been scrutinized and found to be accurate and correct, let it be passed and let it be an interim report pending the submission of other states. So that is
The same colleagues, I think, as you all know, this is not a one-off exercise. The committee is still reviewing it, and once the respective states come before the committee, we will send their report here. There's no, but we can't, we have held this now for almost 2 or 3 months because of this. So if not, let me just put the question. Those in favor of the recommendation say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President,
Can we distribute the votes and proceedings? Distinguished colleagues, rules and proceeding 1, page 569, 570, 571, 572, 573, 574, 575, 576, 577, 578, 579, 579, yes, 579. Senator Emerson.
Your Excellency, there was a correction made where the Commission shall be satisfied of the fact of the days of suspend the election for a period of not exceeding 7 days. It's supposed to reflect 14 days, while the primaries to be 7 days.
Yeah, the Secretary have taken note of that. Thank you. 580, 581, 582, 583. Shaba Lafiaji. Shaba Lafiaji.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Shabalafia. I represent Kwara North. I move that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 24 July 2018 be approved. I so move.
Senator Albert Bassi Apan, Akwa Ibom Northeast.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished and respected colleagues, Senator Albert Massey, speaking for the good people of Kwabo Northeast. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion ably moved by Senator Lafiaji that the vote and proceedings of Tuesday, July 24th be approved. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the votes and proceeding 1 of Tuesday, 24 July 2018, hereby approve, say aye. Those against, say nay. There is a Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, having concluded today's proceedings on the order paper, I hereby move that the Senate do adjourn till Tuesday, the 25th of September, 2018. I so move.
Adjourn. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, having concluded today's proceedings, I would like to utilize the opportunity of this.
Can you second the motion? You are standing to second the motion. Just second the motion for adjournment. That's all. Second the motion for the adjournment. It is, but we are guided by rules. We are guided by rules. That's why we have a democratic process. We have rules. Second the motion.
Mr. President, I hereby second the motion and well.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate adjourns to Tuesday, 25th September 2018 at 10 a.m. say aye. Those against say nay. There is have it. Distinguished colleagues, before I finally adjourn, there are buses outside for our colleagues that are going to go and pay solidarity visit to our Deputy Senate President who is not here. I'm told the buses are here in front of the White Building. The Senate here is accordingly adjourned to Tuesday, 25th September 2018 at 10 a.m. 2018 at 10 a.m. from